the Crypt.
Hello, boys and ghouls. Welcome to episode 87 of Tales From The Crypt, the Tales From The Crypt podcast. My name is Jason. I'm joined by Jody.
Hello.
And Mando.
Hey.
Hey, hey.
Like on the early days, it was fun because we could get Jason to break. Now I just don't know what I'm gonna do to give him the break in the intro.
I usually just break myself when we cut it out because, like, the last 3 weeks in a row, I stumbled over the opening. But no, we're all three of my sons are back.
It's been a while.
Thanks, Daddy. That didn't feel good at all.
No, I don't like that.
No, don't do that, please.
I think I'm out at this point.
All right, let's into the podcast, guys.
Yeah.
I think if my child said "Daddy" at this point, I would just change my phone number and change the locks on the house.
Yeah.
At this point, you can't use that word anymore. If I had kids nowadays, they would just call me dude.
So my 8-year-old daughter, she heard the I'm a Barbie girl song, so now she's saying I'm a blank everything. Just goes to things. So the other day she was going, I'm a daddy's girl in a daddy's world. I'm like, that just feels weird.
It sucks because let's be dude, that should be an endearing word.
Yeah.
Why do we have to sexualize that word of all things? Granted, I've been married for a long time, but nowadays, if we were in the bedroom and my wife said "Daddy," I'm like, stop, we'll stop.
Yeah, no.
I'm gonna need a minute, and I'm gonna go to the bar. I'm just gonna leave. I'll come back in a little bit. Why do we have to be that? Why we suck as a society? Am I right?
Yeah, we ruin everything. Speaking of ruining things, we're just going to go right into this episode because we have a lot of opinions, I think, about this one.
Damn, that was quick. I didn't know where you were going with that.
I know. I kind of jumped before I looked on that one, and I landed.
It was all right.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, tonight we're talking about
edging, but it's fine.
Tonight we're talking about the episode The Pit, which came out on November 30th, 1994. Jody, give us a plot synopsis.
All right, so just to start off here, I normally come with detailed notes. I have no notes tonight. It's not because of this episode specifically. I just decided to just go free with it.
Free balling. Judy, if you listen to last week's episode, just listen to me. I was jet lagged. I tried to synopsize it, and I failed miserably. And I left it in because it was just so bad. I just started getting characters' names wrong. It was bad, dude. It was real bad. So you can't do as bad as I did.
And honestly, do the characters' names matter in this episode? They don't.
No.
But what does matter in this episode is the intro, which was delightful completely. We get the Crypt Keeper in his little Crypt Keeper pajamas with his little Crypt Keeper feet climbing up a ladder, singing "Deck the Halls" with parts of Charlie. Fa la 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 la. Make the Yuletide gross and gnarly. Fa la 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 la. That it was great. It was just a perfect little intro.
Okay,
and he has little pajamas.
real quick. Did any of you guys, after when you saw this, Google Crypt Keeper pajamas?
I did want to know what he had there. Yeah, for sure.
I Googled it. They just don't exist. I mean, well, they do. I found Crypt Keeper underwear and panties, but I could not find jammies.
So Daddy's out of the bedroom. Crypt Keeper underwear and panties. Does that make an entrance?
Crypt Keeper panties. Crypt panties.
See?
I'm gonna go with
about
maybe. That might unlock some shit you just don't want to unlock, right?
Yeah.
You ever been in a situation where someone does something and you're like, well, fuck, now I'm into that. God damn it. That's what I need is another fetish in my life.
After all these seasons of watching Tales from the Crypt, you don't need that to be something that turns you on now.
But I did look for Crypt Keeper ornament, and you can find those.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, those EC comic ornaments. So what you're talking about?
Well, if you saw, he had a really cool ornament on his tree, and if you look on eBay, they did sell those ornaments aftermarket anywhere from $50 to $100, depending on which one you want.
Yeah. They probably cost $3 when they came out. So.
Right.
Well, what's funny is, okay, there are cheaper ones. The cheaper ones from the pictures, the boxes, they look fucking. I'll actually link a picture. They look terrible. Like if you didn't know it was a Crypt Keeper, someone would be like, "Why do you have this figurine of a fucking like half molten, half burnt?" It looks more like Skinless Frank than it looks like.
All right, moving on.
All right. So anyway, great intro, great Christmassy Crypt Creeper, and again, he was standing on a little ladder, so you got his little puppet feet. Which, anytime you see an entire puppet body, I'm always a fan. Yeah. And it makes me laugh. But when it comes to the actual episode here, we jump in to a TV showing a martial arts fight going on for a very long time. Neither of the men will give up. And it turns out that fight is the fight that launches this whole story. They called the fight a draw because neither of them were able to knock the other one out. They go on to like a live sports show, and they're there talking about the fight. The dudes are both pretty okay with the fact that it became a draw. Their wives are not, because their wives are horrible people, and they are awful through this entire episode. Take every cliche you have about like a gold digger, and that's these two women. But weirdly enough, they both have a background in being athletes themselves. I'm not sure exactly where that came to play, except for maybe in the end.
They alluded to them like, why don't you guys fight, or why don't you guys do this?
Right.
And they said, why would we do that when we have men that can do that for us?
Right.
Also, they said the men make 3 times as much, which
is
true.
I'll get into it. There's actually some interesting like social commentary in here, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, no. In the world of martial arts where my kids compete, their coach is a female, and her prize money is always less than what the men would make in the same fight. So crappy stuff. 40 years after this episode came out, 30 years after this episode came out, still
That's
crappy.
Bullshit.
Don't charge me 10 extra years, please.
Yeah, no. So anyway, on this show, the women keep calling each other out and being mean to each other and saying, my man would have won if they gave it another round. But a promoter, is watching this in his hotel room. This guy's played by Wayne Newton. I remember what his character name is.
Wink Barnum, which sounds like a porn name.
It does. Wink Barnum is watching this, and he says, I've got $100 million idea. And it's going to be to put these guys in a Malaysian death fight style fight, with the prize being one of them will win $100 million, and they will get the lead role in this new movie that's coming out called The Pulverizer. The loser gets $10 million. And he takes the idea to the women. They're for it. The guys are not, though. They don't like this Malaysian death battle style fighting. It's I guess the difference is it has to be a complete knockout, which is not something that normally happens in martial arts.
No time
limit, no holds bars, kind of.
Well, so we'll get into that, but in the early UFCs, like the UFC 1 was legit. I think it was no time limit, no holds barred. The only thing you couldn't do is you couldn't eye gouge, and you couldn't fish hook, but you could punch someone right in the dick, and that was fine.
All right.
There's actually a fight. It was Keith Hackney beat Joe's son. Joe's son was actually a henchman in one of the Ace Ventura movies. Not Ace Ventura, fucking Austin Power movies. Okay. Later on, went to prison for gang rape, so not a good person. Ooh. But he did get his ass kicked in the UFC by being punched in the balls about 10 times.
All right,
he deserved it. That's like some pre-karma.
Yeah, and they can use weapons here too. That's something that a little bit different.
That might be the first time I used the term pre-karma. Like,
there you go.
That's not dirty.
Pre-karma. It's like regular karma, but just clearer and thinner.
Be careful, it can still get you pregnant.
Jody, do tell. There's got to be a story here, right?
No. This is not from experience. It's just,
if you have
word to the wise for all the young people listening to this podcast.
If you have to Google, can pre-karma get you pregnant, you should just go to Walgreens.
Oh my god.
We're still in the synopsis, by the
way. That's why I made the pre-show so quick.
We are already off the rails. So anyway, they go back and forth. The wives are horrible. One's cheating on their husband. The guys don't want to do this fight, and then there's this scene of the guys just kind of hanging out at the ring, watching from the side, and they're just talking about farming cactuses and having lives outside of this. And they said, do we really want to do this? And the other guy says, yeah, we do. I think I want to do it. And this, you sure? Yeah. So anyway, the wives both get a phone call to come down saying that somebody is tampering with the weapons. And so both of these angry women show up at the ring, and they step into the ring. They start kind of getting into it, yelling at each other and fighting. And at that point, a camera appears, and we see that this has actually been the end game all along for these two women to get into a fight. And so this was the big fight that was promoted. Their husbands are watching it from Wink's room, whatever that is. From the Winky room. From the Winky room. And
you found Mr. Winky.
There's no sex in the Winky room.
Wait, so hold on, Jody. When you said that this was the plan all along, are you saying that like that was the original idea, that the whole point of this event was to put the wives together? Or did
I was not 100% sure, honestly.
My take was that the guys decided to change it halfway through and said, hey, we don't want to do this with the women together.
I think it was Wink's idea, and they just went along with this, what it kind of seemed like at the end.
Well, because Wink had this, he said, I've got this $100 million idea after watching the women get into it on a TV show.
Yeah.
Oh,
and so I think that Wink all along had been pushing for the women to get into a fight, because they were both athletes before. They hated each other. They obviously knew that from their TV appearances. And so the big fight was going to be the two women, I think.
So this is where like my logistical brain might go a little far, because they had to have been promoting this. They didn't notice that the promotions didn't have the guys on, had them on it.
I don't know.
Well,
again, I think that's probably overthinking, but
no, but here's a problem, and this is where I'll get into it when I get my time to talk about this. But fucking like, if you're overthinking the episode this much, it's because it wasn't good enough to hold your attention to make you not think into it. Like, how many, like, I've watched Bloodsport a million fucking times. Yeah. Are there plot holes in that? Yeah, but I don't care, because that Kumite song, Hicks, I'm fucking in. but I was watching this and just overthinking the entire fucking episode.
Yeah.
All right, so Mando, go ahead, dive in.
Are you done, Jody?
Yeah, that's the
whole plot. And then we end with the Crypt Keeper promoting his Christmas album
with an axe, which is a real album.
Yeah.
Yes, a real album. You can find it on Spotify. At least
him singing him singing was great. Like, I love it. Like, I want John Kassir live, like singing that karaoke style somewhere, because fuck,
that's it. We need a John Kassir Christmas special.
So this episode was fucking terrible, and I because how do you have the son of the Iron Chef in a because he is, that's the guy who is the fake Iron Chef dude, having a kung fu he's legit martial artist, and they had yet like the dumbest, worst, like most boring choreographed fights I've ever seen in my fucking life. Like, that's if you're gonna have an episode or anything based around martial arts, the fight choreography has to be good. When I watch John Wick movie, like, I don't like to, like, again, being a jiu-jitsu guy and knowing that my martial art is superior to all other martial arts, I don't get upset when I see John Wick using fucking stand-up fighting, because it's entertaining as shit and the choreography is good. The choreography in this was boring as fuck. And it does a lot of weird things. And so this came out in 94. And my first thought was like, well, UFC had already happened. And this reminded me of the fights people thought they were going to see at UFC, until this little guy called Hoist Gracie went in there and took everybody down and submitted them and got booed, because they're like, what the fuck is happening? He's like, well, he's submitting people and murdering them. This also happened around UFC 3 time, which I want to talk about UFC 3. And it's interesting though, because I think at the beginning, when they show the logo for this fight promotion, it kind of looks like the original UFC logo, the Ultimate Fighting Championship, with a guy going, Rrr. That's for our video watchers right there. You can see me go, and so I like, and that's like, I can. What's funny is one of our questions on Instagram is Mando gonna totally shit all the fighting? Well, I am, but I'm not gonna shit on it because it wasn't accurate. I just wanted to entertain me, and I didn't find it entertaining at all. Like, I found this episode boring as fuck. The weapons were stupid. Like, I wish it was called like a pro wrestling match, because then it would have been interesting. The best fighting was the girls at the end when they kind of had a choreographed pro wrestling match. And I think it's because one of the actresses, she was a former stunt person and real martial artist. I thought that was the most interesting part. And so overall, like, and again, where is the fucking horror in? There's no horror in this. There's zero horror in this. The most horrific thing was fucking Wayne Newton and his makeup. Like the dude looked like he was wrapped in hot dog skin, and hey, like fucking. And by the way, like Wayne Newton's a staple of Las Vegas, but Tom Jones is way better.
Yeah,
true.
Oh, Tom Jones is always better, and Tom Jones is a Mars Attack. I don't remember if Wayne Newton was, but if he was, whatever. By the way, if you see Wayne Newton nowadays, he looks the same, except for like nothing. His face doesn't move. You can take that for what you want to take it for. But yeah, like again, it's interesting because so like this is what people thought they were gonna get in fighting, and then the Ultimate Fighting Championship happened, and realistically changed the whole like public's perception on what a real fight looks like. And it's interesting because I think before UFC 1, there was like 3 jiu-jitsu schools in the United States, and afterwards there were like 30. And you had some that were like bullshit Mick dojos, you call them, where they're not teaching people real shit. And then people who really like came up through the ranks. Like my school, Cobra Kai, was started by Mark Lehman, who was lineage from John Lewis, who's lineage from the Gracies. So it's still interesting that with jiu-jitsu, you can still go back and like look at the lineages on who you're getting your belts from and where their lineage is and where they got their belts from. But like I would have liked to see them do like some more realistic fighting. And I hate the idea when they're like, it's a fight to the death, because fucking come on. Like no pay-per-view company is gonna. I mean, UFC had enough trouble with their just saying it was no holds barred and getting, you know, athletic commissions to allow them to have events there. Which is a whole nother, like I can go on rants about the UFC and the weird inside handlings at the beginning. Art Davey, who started the UFC, wrote a really great book. And I think it's called "Is This Legal?" Really fantastic read. Even if you're not into fighting, it's just a fantastic story of him trying to like put this promotion together, like a total outlaw style. But like I said, you have to interest me. You have to give me fight scenes that I want to watch. Like when he's fucking fighting like the weird, I get like. Who the fuck is going to go in that cage? Like, oh, I'll try to go fight the world champion. Let him hit me in the face with the stick. No one's going to fucking do that. It reminded me back in WCW when they did the Chamber of Horrors match back at Halloween Havoc. I think it was 91. And as a little kid, 8 years old, I'm like, the Chamber of Horrors. Yes, Grandpa, you have to pay $30 so I can watch this pay-per-view. And then they had like random guys in bodysuits trying to cough and like, trying to fight the wrestlers that you can see me do a weird movement too if you watch this on YouTube. Just saying. But it just, I don't know, man. I did not like anything about this episode. And the other day when I thought that whatever episode I watched, I thought was the worst episode of all time. Not anymore.
All right, Jody.
So Mando has opinions about this one. Yeah,
I do.
I don't hate it like Mando does.
Jody, your kids would have fucked either of these dudes up.
I mean, you know, we're in a different kind of martial arts, but our family's very involved in martial arts and how some of this stuff goes down. And I didn't hate it like Mando does, but it's not a great episode. I mean, it's Tales from the Crypt, and not a single person dies.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, unless it happens in the end.
Would you let your daughter fight in a Malaysian death match?
Well, I mean, I don't even know like what that means. Like,
I love that Jody didn't say no. He's like, I'd have to see what the rules are.
I mean, yeah. But I mean, here the thing is with this whole, you know, Malaysian death match, they never explain it. They just say it to sound scary because, you know, like,
well, I think it was actually
Asia is scary. You know,
I think it was actually a takeoff of, was it in Deer Hunter? Because wrestling stole the idea of the Thai pie death match. They tape glass to their hands.
Yeah,
I think that's where the takeoff was. Was that Deer Hunter? Or is it just pro wrestling? Maybe it's just pro wrestling. I don't know. It's been a lot of times in Deer Hunter. I just remember the but fucking Axel Rotten and Ian Rotten in a Thai pie death match. Fucking great match. Find that on Peacock.
But yeah, there were some entertaining moments in it. It felt very over the top, and not in the way Tales from the Crypt usually feels over the top, more hammy kind of over the top, like not great. I said before the show started, like, this felt very HBO in the 90s. It could have been an episode of Red Shoe Diaries if it had a different ending.
A happier ending, one might say.
Yeah. They still end up in the exact same situation, but instead of fighting, they work out their differences.
There were a happy ending on Red Shoe Diaries. Like, did they ever show someone getting jerked off to completion? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think there was a lot of implied stuff happening on that show. But yeah, I mean,
hey, was anybody watching late night HBO for a hand job? Like, that's like watching an NFL game and it ends in a tie. Like, who wants to see that?
But I didn't hate it. I mean, that's all I can say. Here's the thing,
Jody. I want your daughters to watch the martial arts sequences, and I want their opinions on it.
Oh, I'm sure they'd have opinions. Let me just say though, I read the comic for this one, and the way that the route that they went for this is definitely better than had they gone with the comic route. We'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, I don't know. We'll get there. But
I agree with you because I'm not a fan of animal stuff like that. And
it would have been a very nasty episode.
But I think they could have gone nastier with this episode. Like again, like you said, it's over the top, but not Tales from the Crypt over the top. And if it would have been like them fighting people in the cage and arms and spleens getting ripped out, I'd have been down. Like, this is fucking ridiculous and great. Like,
right. You're right. If they had gone over the top, not in like the acting, the drama over the top, but had actually gone Tales from the Crypt over the top and had the last fight, been like gory and nasty. Oh yeah.
What if they just went over the top, and it was just arm wrestling?
Oh my god.
I got the hat like this. This hat means I'm hold on a second.
Who's in that movie again?
I have the hat like this, and this is normal. When I turn it on, that's the light switch. That's when the switch turns on. That is not a good Sly Stallone impression.
That's like 3000 Sly Stallone.
I love that movie though.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Featuring Terry Funk, the Funker.
I kind of like this episode. I don't think it's good. Of
course you would, Jason.
I know, of course I would.
We've like flipped the spectrum. Like, Tommy's gonna be like, do Jody and Mando even like Tales from the Crypt?
It's not. I would never say it's a good episode, but it is hammy as fuck. It's just, it's over the top in ways that the show doesn't usually go to that level. But I don't know. Maybe this season has had so many duds. It's just a good like kicking the balls almost.
No, yeah, a kick in the balls is not good. Like, in what world do you?
Well, I mean, like to the season, it's kind of like we're just trying really hard here, and they overcorrect it a little too much. At least I thought it was very entertaining. The moment that I love is where one of the women's on the phone with someone, and she's getting pissed off, and she's doing pull-ups on the bar, and it's obviously that she's just going like she's just moving her body up and down. And at one point, she puts her arm down, or she picks up the phone, and she's only doing it with one hand in the exact same way. And I'm like, this is really funny. This is like almost like a Naked Gun kind of thing.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, Leslie Nielsen can get away with that though. But
hold on, and then it pulls back, and you see that she's actually riding a dude. So she was using the arm bar to ride a dude, and then she just walks out of the room.
Did it eventually pull out as well?
Apparently. See, he didn't look satisfied, but I don't know. It's just
hold on a second. You can pull out and still be satisfied. There are other things you can do afterwards.
Oh, okay.
For the
record, we're not going down that road.
For the record, for people who need like pulling out is not a good method of birth control. Let's be honest.
Jody should know.
But if you choose to go that route, there are ways to finish.
But I don't know. This is just
Jason. Name 3 ways to finish.
Okay, this is just like a really campy, over the top episode. It's a major overcorrection, but I don't know. I found it really kind of endearing. I like that the characters, the women, are like using real swear words. It's not like sanitized TVs cussing at each other.
It's on HBO. You can say anything on HBO.
I know that's what I liked about it, because usually like when they have two catty women yelling at each other on TV, it's it's not a way someone would actually talk with her that mad at each other. But it's HBO, so they can go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a great episode. It's I don't know if it's like in the top half of Tales from the Crypt, but as far as what we've had this season, It's
still in the bottom.
I would put it over some of the other episodes we've had. Over was it Operation Friendship? I'd watch this over that.
Jason, what did I give that one? Did I give that one a 1?
Probably
that 101. All right.
Yeah, that was really bad. But
that was.
Let's just talk about the talent for a moment, just to give them their due. This is directed by John Harrison. He did the episode Easel Kill Ya. He composed the music for Day of the Dead and Creepshow 1 and 2. He directed a bunch of episodes of Tales from the Dark Side, the TV show, and he directed the movie and the Dune miniseries and a bunch of episodes of the Creepshow TV series. And we did an interview with him like a year ago. Really cool guy. So if you're interested in hearing more about him, go check out that interview.
Oh, and real fast, I would say the direction is not the issue in this at all.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
I actually think like with probably the script he had, he probably did the best job he could have.
I mean, for on the Tales Script budget, that cage was pretty impressive. Like as a set piece. Like maybe not what they did with it, but as far as sure. Let's see. Felix is, as we said, is played by Mark Dacascos. He was in I love this. He was in The Island of Dr. Moreau, The Crow, Stairway from Heaven, The Crow TV series. Is in John Wick 3, as we say, is an Iron Chef. Aubrey Scott is played by Debbie Dunning. She was in Leprechaun 4 in space. And she's also
Chickens in space.
She's also in the Home Improvements. And then the other woman is played by
is she the tool girl?
Yeah, the second tool girl or whatever.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
The one that wasn't Pamela Anderson. And then
I forgot
Marjean,
about that too.
Yeah, Marjean Holden. She was in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. She was in Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, and Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Another terrible movie that is somehow
she played Shiva. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And then Stoney Jackson. Again, all these people have huge stunts careers. We're just kind of talking about the movie acting parts. He was in CB4, which is a really fun. I haven't seen in a long time, but I remember it being really
CB4
funny.
is so good. So that I think that's one of those movies that if it came around, like I think it was way before its time.
Yeah,
it came out in '94, I think. And it's kind of funny too, because I always say about New Nightmare, those movies that are coming out in that era, I think a lot of them are way ahead of their time, which is what they're trying to do.
I don't know how it holds up now, but at the time, yeah. He was also in Angels in the Outfield, going back to great 90s movies that no one talks about.
I like to think that, if God is real, and I'm not knocking religious people out there, but I think the Angels have better shit to do than worry about baseball games on Sunday.
Especially the Anaheim Angels.
Yes.
And of course, Wayne Newton, he was in License to Kill, obviously the ton of Vegas themed movies, including Vegas Vacation. He was also in Sharknado 4, The Fourth Awakens.
If you've seen Vegas Vacation and that casino they go to in the end when they're playing, you actually play war now in a Vegas casino. There's a casino on the Strip called the Aztec Casino. And I highly recommend you look up pictures of it because it might as well be the casino from Vegas Vacation. I'm pretty sure you can just guess the number in that fucking place.
That's awesome. But yeah, not a great episode at all. But there's just something. It's just such an anomaly. And like you said, no one dies in the Tales from the Crypt episode, which is even weirder. I mean, you assume that eventually one of the women will
Did you
talk
about Melissa Brassell, which plays like a ring girl? She has a fun like sci-fi horror movie resume of all these movies she's done. And she's kind of neat. Her latest movie being Lisa, Warden from Hell, which I'm definitely going to track down. That's definitely relevant to my interests.
I'm looking that up right now. That is definitely
is that in your Plex server, Jody?
Take on there. Don't have that one on there right now. That is definitely Ilsa, the Wicked Warden, or She Wolf of the SS.
Oh boy.
Those movies were like fucking exploitation to the max.
Oh yeah.
But they were actually decent movies. Like and then I think they parody one of those for a trailer in Grindhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jody, give us the comic comparison.
Okay, so this came from the Vault of Horror number 40, which was, I think, the last issue. And that's December 1954. Script by Carl Wessler, pencils by Bernie Krigstein. Not names that we hear a lot for any of them. So it's basically the same plot as this story of the women are terrible and they want their husbands to make money for them, except instead of the husbands being fighters, one husband runs a cockfighting ring and the other one runs a dog fighting ring.
And who wants a fight with a cock?
It seems like the worst way to fight, personally.
Yeah, like no matter how many rings you put on it, it's gonna get weak eventually.
Doesn't the comic say that they shredded the cock?
It does. They put knives on it or blades on it. But anyway, so
you think people will fight with chickens, right? Why wouldn't they fight with ducks? Ducks are way meaner than chickens.
Goose fighting.
Oh,
Swan
shit.
Fighting.
Oh, man.
Swan fighting.
Do you guys like duck?
Swans are mean.
I love duck.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Have you ever had you've had duck in your mouth?
So anyway, the comic. The basic story here is the men don't like their jobs. They don't like hurting animals. They don't like seeing these chickens kill each other. They don't like to see these dogs kill each other, but their wives want money. And so they keep upping the game. And so instead of there being 2 roosters, they're going to be 3. There's a dog fighting ring that has a dozen dogs.
That's basically a circle jerk at that point. You got 3 cocks.
Just a bunch of dogs murdering each other in a ring, and the wives are pushing it, and they're being catty to each other.
Did they push it good?
What's that?
Push it real good.
Push it real good.
Yeah. They're buying dresses that the other one wants just to like show each other up, and this is the same kind of thing as in the episode. They hate each other and they're doing all this drama behind the scenes. In the end, though, the women end up in the ring. Their husbands kind of push them into it, and it says that they tear each other up like animals. So that, again, if I don't like the animal fighting line, like obviously that would be really unpleasant to watch as an episode.
Yeah.
To tear each other up at the end, though, I think that would have helped quite a bit instead of just we kind of zoom out on them fighting each other, punching each other a little bit.
Oh, and I meant to bring it up, and you brought up the thing about how they brought up, obviously women getting paid less than men. Mm-hmm. And the other interesting piece kind of in this episode that is interesting is they kind of are, it's kind of I guess maybe an indictment on our obsession with violence. When they said like 20 million people are going to watch this because they all want to see a death match. And I'll be honest, like that was early UFCs, right? People were thinking like people literally bought UFC 1 thinking I'm going to see someone die tonight in this ring, which really fucked up when you think about it. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of I guess a commentary on that. So that's interesting.
I'm trying something there. But yeah, does it work? I don't know. There are parts of it I think that are entertaining. I think, like I said, I think somehow the comic version is a more interesting story, but also one that I would not want to watch. So I don't know what they could have done with this one.
I did like the art style though. It was a little different.
Yeah, no, I definitely respect. I just like I actually when I first started watching it, and they kind of did where they're having the talking, and you can see you're watching the fight on a TV screen they're watching it on. I thought that was actually really interesting the way it was shot, but then the substance of it I think if the choreography, the fight choreography was better and taken almost a little bit more seriously, I think it would have definitely elevated this episode.
I was referencing the art in the comic. It was like a little bit. That's all right. Like the faces were like a little stretched out, a little distorted. Yeah, that was kind of cool.
Kind of looking.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I just didn't mean to get off topic.
No, that's fine. No, that's fine. I'm trying. I anytime I can say something positive about this episode, I count it as a win.
Okay, I'll redeem myself a little bit later.
Speaking of which, let's do our episode ranking.
Ooh, okay, let's do that.
All right, Jody.
2. I'll go 2.
All right, take that. Mando.
1. one. This is legit one of my least favorite Tales from the Crypt episodes. And again, it's not just because I'm going to be a dick and hate the choreography, hate the fighting, and hate the fake fighting, how shitty it looked. But I just don't think it was interesting. I don't think it was the direction I thought was fine. But God, like it just bored me to fucking tears.
Yeah, I knew that you would not like this episode, and that's why on Sunday when you said we should go ahead without you, I'm like, no, I don't want you here for this.
And you know what's funny, when I started watching, I was like, oh, I remember this episode, but I remember being way better than it was.
Right.
I think it's because like I think as a kid, I was probably way more forgiving of the terrible choreography, which is now it's like, dude, like it's there's so much good, and especially when you have real martial artists, it's like you guys can figure some shit out, right?
I'm going 2.5. Like I wouldn't say that's a good rating. That's just an okay rating, and
I think it's perfectly acceptable, though. I think you're wrong, but I think it's perfectly acceptable.
Thank you. All right, and now for Al's anecdotes. Okay, Mando, give us your song of the day.
All right, so I was gonna try to. So I originally had a song I picked out before the episode, and I watched the episode like, no, he doesn't deserve that song. I just picked a song that makes me happy, and it's a band I discovered this year, which I think is probably, as of right now, we're only in March, but right now it's taking home my album of the year award so far. It's by a band called The Gauntlet, and if you look at the cover is like something you probably would have drawn in high school, just fucking way over the top. The album is called Dark Steel and Fire. It's just like heavy metal with some black metal. It's just a fun fucking album to listen to. I think everyone should check this one out. And I'm gonna pick the song off this one because I listened to it today again. And the song I'm going to pick is called Damnation Calls with Haste. What does that mean? I don't know. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Metal doesn't have to make sense because it's fucking metal. But the band's called The Gauntlet. It's actually a one-man project, which is pretty weird when you have like, usually I see one-man project, I expect someone who doesn't know how to play guitar making a terrible album. Although granted, there are some great one-man projects out there, but this is really kind of over the top and fun. So just shitty because you'll never see them live because you can't play live if you're one person unless you're really you're like an octopus. But The Gauntlet, Dark Steel and Fire is the album. The song, once again, what the fuck? Did I just turn Canadian? Is Damnation Calls with Haste. I do live by a duck pond. Maybe they're rubbing off on me.
I mean, when Damnation calls, you don't want to make it wait. So
exactly.
Okay, that sounds like an interesting. That sounds interesting. I'm going to listen to that.
And you apologize. It's kind of like if anybody out there listens to metal, it's kind of like a mix of like early Venom with some Bathory with some Dark Throne. It's a nice, good mix of it's just fucking metal.
Nice.
Yeah, I told Mando the other day that I was actually listening to some metal, but it was like the dorkiest way to listen to metal because the band I was listening to is called Windrose, and they make dwarf metal, and all their songs are about like digging in holes and like it's Tolkien type stuff, like nerd shit. But
so I joke about that, but I said before, like the early Count Grishnak of Varg Vikernes, the most evil man in the history of black metal, who killed Euronymous, is a known racist. Grishnak is the fucking name of one of the lead, not the orcs. What are the more evil orcs?
Oh, the Uruk-hai.
Yes, the Uruk-hai. And like all those fucking early bands were all just fucking Tolkien nerds,
right?
Like, and that's when like people don't realize that these early black metal artists were from affluent families who were fucking Tolkien and D&D nerds that really didn't want to go as far as a few people went in the scene. Yeah. It wasn't as evil and grim as people thought it was. It was just a show. It's all theatrics.
Yeah.
So did you check out that Necrogoblin band that I sent you?
I looked in just a little bit. I hadn't gotten into them much.
You need to watch the YouTube videos because they dress like goblins on stage.
Yeah, and the Windrose dresses like dwarves. Like,
yeah, no, I checked them out. They're fantastic. I love that.
Like literally, their top song on Spotify, their most listened to song is called "Diggy Diggy Hole." It's literally about digging holes and being in mines.
Jody, how does it go? What's the chorus?
I don't remember the chorus,
man,
but it is very enjoyable entertainment.
That sounds like That sounds like a summer camp song.
Sounds like a man that remembers the chorus and doesn't want to sing it.
All right, Jody, give us some horror news.
All right. So one thing that came out last week that is very near and dear to my heart. I'm a big time figure collector, mostly from NECA. I have tons of NECA figures all over my office, and they have finally announced a Creature from the Black Lagoon figure, and it looks amazing.
Looks so good.
I've already pre-ordered it. It looks fantastic. I have one from Diamond Select that came out a few years ago, but like its arms don't move other than up and down. There's no joints in the thing. This is
that one of the ones in the blister packs?
Yeah.
It still looks pretty decent though.
Yeah, no, it's a decent looking figure, but this new one that's coming out, fully articulated, you can pose it in all kinds of ways. I think 3 different faces. Very, very excited for this, and I'll definitely have it on day one.
Did you order from a Big Bad Toy Store?
What's that?
Did you order it from Big Bad Toy Store?
Yes, I did.
Did you see their announcement today?
The black and white Bride of Frankenstein.
Yes, that's the one I've been waiting for.
That one looks amazing too.
They haven't come out with it. The one I want, and I've already pre-ordered a bunch of stuff because I'm in the new Elvira figure. Holy shit!
Yeah.
I want the Casey Jones Phantom of the Opera. They previewed it. It hasn't come out yet. God damn, that looks good.
Yeah. NECA puts out some great stuff.
The Last Ronin figures, like I think I've talked up that novel. It's so fucking great. Oh god, it's so good.
Other horror news coming out this week is a movie I'm excited about. Have either of y'all seen the 2014 movie Last Shift?
Yes, I know where you're going with this. And Last Shift was one of those like out of left field movies that I bought on iTunes, like $5. Yeah, way better than any right to be.
Yeah,
I don't mean that in a bad way, for a low budget film. And the fact I thought it was legit scary.
Oh yeah, no, it's really good. I like Last Shift a lot. Well, the director has money now to really make the movie he wanted to make, and so basically he's reimagining, whatever you want to call it, Last Shift into a theatrical release called Malum that's supposed to be bigger, more over the top. It's the same story of a police officer who's at the last time this building is going to be open before they move to a new precinct or whatever.
I'm sorry, is it a reimagining or a prequel?
It's the same story, just bigger.
It sounds like a Evil Dead 2 kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of that.
They weren't happy the size the first time, so they made it bigger. I got you.
But yeah, so I really like Last Shift, and so tell me it's going to be bigger and gorier, then 100%. And it's coming to theaters this time. There was no theatrical release for Last Shift. That was like a Netflix or iTunes kind of movie.
Well, again, that's a really cool feather in the cap for horror, because it's kind of nice seeing these studios more willing to throw something in the theater. And I think I told you, guys, I saw Constipation, whatever that killer nun movie was. Consecration was not very good.
Yeah.
And then I saw some other horror movie, some slasher film, like She Came from the Woods or something. Wasn't called that. I don't know, I'm a little buzzed. They weren't great. I'm not gonna lie, but it was still fun seeing them in a theater, being able to see that kind of stuff in a theater. And I urge everyone, fucking John Wick's gonna make $1 billion no matter what. I'm not gonna say don't go see John Wick, but if you're a fucking horror fan, spend some money on these small films that are coming out, because it's just gonna be more and more small films coming to the theater all over the place, and we want those films to come all over the place in the theater. Jason?
I like that movies are willing to take a little bit more risk right now with stuff like Malignant and Megan, and we're getting a new Evil Dead movie this year.
Oh, I finally watched Megan.
Yeah,
fucking awesome.
Yeah,
it's so much
the
fun.
unrated version. That movie is legit terrifying in my opinion. Because I watch that movie and the first thing I just walk upstairs and fucking throw my Alexa in the bathtub.
Yeah, I rewatched it Friday night, and I was like, this is still so good.
Was the unrated version that much different than the theatrical?
No, there's like 2 shots.
I imagine there's a kill with a machete through the heart. I imagine that's probably gorier.
Yeah,
but,
the ear, when the kid gets his ear, it's ripped off. Or the elevator scene, after the weird dance, the elevator's a lot bloodier. But other than that, Oh, I think the woman getting her face melted off.
Okay.
With the stuff.
Yeah.
Evil Dead Rises, by the way, has gotten nothing but amazing reviews.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I am so fucking excited for that movie.
Yeah.
And I'm really pumped for Renfield. That looks really
yes.
Renfield, and Renfield's supposed to be like over the top bloody and gross. Like
no, the Red Band trailers look good.
Yeah.
The trailer is so amazing because it doesn't give away anything. And him coming into the support group and the guy's like, oh, well, this is different. I fucking lost it when I watched that trailer. Yeah. And Nicolas Cage, just being Nicolas Cage at this point, is the best thing that can ever happen in movies.
Yeah. Well, speaking of bloody gory movies, the Toxic Avenger remake that's coming out. I don't know if this is an announcement or somebody just talked about it, but there is a scene that they are referring to as the butt guts scene. That is supposed to be the kind of the crowning moment, kind of like the head squishing scene in the original. The butt guts scene. That's all we know right now.
Is Kaufman attached to that at all?
I'm not sure. I can't imagine that he wouldn't be completely unattached. I don't know. I know it's got a crazy cast. You got Elijah Wood in it.
I love
Peter
Elijah
Dinklage.
Wood. Oh shit! I love Elijah Wood just doing whatever he wants to do. That makes me so happy.
These guys, Lord of the Rings money, he can do anything.
Yeah. Peter Dinklage is in it. Jacob Tremblay, the little boy from a lot of the Flanagan movies, but he was also in Dr. Sleep is a Flanagan movie. He's the kid who gets like the worst, most
baseball boy.
Yeah, baseball boy. The most
if I can real fast, just give a shout out to my buddy William, who down here in if anybody is on the West Coast, he runs a place down here called the Sci-Fi Center, and he has a Lloyd Kaufman weekend where Lloyd Kaufman's going to be here signing autographs and doing commentary to movies. I can't remember the movies he has slated, but definitely the Sci-Fi Center is a little hole in the wall in this place called New Orleans Square, which is kind of the armpit of Las Vegas. And I mean that in a very loving way, in that it's kind of off the beaten path. And he does, my buddy William, back in the day, he was basically borrowing DVDs from me and paying like small rights fees to show shit like Cannibal Holocaust and The Beyond. And They Live in his little like makeshift theater he made. And he has Lloyd Kaufman coming back out to do a really cool event. So cool. If you guys are anywhere near here and love trauma, look up the Sci-Fi Center Las Vegas and Lloyd Kaufman. You'll find some cool information about some stuff he's doing.
That's awesome. Right before we started recording, I recorded a little mini episode with our friend Joe Ferry, and we talked about Lloyd Kaufman and trauma. I don't like a lot of trauma movies, but I love Lloyd Kaufman.
It's funny with trauma.
He's an inspiring person, and trauma's inspiring to me, even though I don't get into their stuff a whole lot.
There's a great, and you can find his speech on YouTube if you like look up like Lloyd Kaufman independent films, when he just goes on a rant about how like, I think someone asked him, what should I do if I'm going to film? He goes, just go do it. Just go fucking make movies. Like it sounds like you have an idea, and it's beautifully inspiring, and not just for people who want to make movies, but I think just it's a great life advice. Yeah. Like we're all fuddy-duddies and set in our ways, and he's like, just go fucking try something. Who cares if you fail? And
I have 2 Lloyd Kaufman books on my shelf, and one of them is Make Your Own Damn Movie.
Yes,
and
so good.
Yeah, do it.
There's a movie he was in with Dante from Clerks, Brian O'Halloran, and also with Gunnar Hansen. And I forgot what it was, but he does kind of like a speech like that, and then it's just so good. Like, and you want to know what, the trauma movies that hit, they fucking hit.
Oh yeah.
Like I unapologetically love Tromeo and Juliet with Lemmy from Motorhead as a narrator. Fucking come on. And Poultrygeist and Toxic Avenger and Sergeant Kabuki Man, Class of Nukem High.
Yeah, that's a good one.
He's the modern day Roger Corman.
Yeah.
And that's just a feather in both those guys' caps. Could you imagine Lloyd Kaufman with a budget?
He wouldn't know what to do.
I don't know if that would help or hinder him. I think I like that Lloyd Kaufman, gets to use his imagination and not just his money.
So have I told you guys a story about, again, my friend William, when he did his event and it was sold out, and some guy showed up as Sergeant Kabuki Man and tried to buy a ticket? And my buddy William's like, dude, we're sold out. And Lloyd Kaufman walks outside, goes, if you don't let him in, I'm not doing the show. He goes, that guy dressed up as Sergeant Kabuki Man, let him fucking in.
Nice.
Some fire inspectors would be mad, but well, whatever. It's 2 years ago or 3-4 years ago. Time doesn't matter anymore.
But speaking of great movies or semi-great movies, Dr. Giggles.
Oh, yes.
Just been released on Blu-ray in high definition thanks to Scream Factory.
In 4K?
So if you were I don't think it's a full 4K. I think it's a 1080p. No, it's 2K. So yeah, 1080p. We don't get the full 4K experience, but whoever thought a movie like Dr. Giggles would even get a nice HD package?
Dude, a very, very I don't want to say underrated, because I think people that have watched Dr. Giggles all love it. Underappreciated movie.
Or underremembered.
Yeah.
Or forgotten.
It's one of those movies that a lot of us rented on VHS, at the video store, and a lot of people probably have forgotten about it since then. Worth revisiting, though.
I definitely rented
it. If nothing else,
just
for Larry Drake.
Well, I definitely rented it when I was like 13 because it has a scantily clad woman in the back of the VHS. I'm like, yeah, we're definitely renting this. And then Larry Drake is legit terrifying in that.
Oh yeah,
and the story itself is a fucking great story, very well done. And I'm a big Dr. Giggles fan.
So yeah, pick up that Blu-ray, bring it home.
Anything else, Jody?
That's all I got.
We're doing a new segment. We're still trying to figure out what to call it. For tonight, we'll call it the Patreon place, whatever that means.
Oh, I thought we're doing it in the future. I don't doing it tonight. So I've had a better name for it.
We'll come up with something better. But
so first of all, get in the pit.
The Patreon pit. There you go. The pit of Patreon.
The pit.
So we have a new Patreon that we want to thank for joining, Linda of Note. But also what we're going to start doing is, if you're one of our patrons at any level, we're going to post a Would You Rather poll related to the episode.
Is it based on have you guys seen the movie Would You Rather?
Yeah,
that's a good movie. I like it.
Jeffrey Combs. Do you guys know who Sasha Grey is?
No one's going on the record. But...
We got nods from
Brittany Snow. Yeah.
Do you know Sasha Grey was actually in a H.G. Lewis film? They did. I think it was she can't again. My buddy, the Sci-Fi Center, had her and the director or H.G. Lewis come down. Fucking, I missed that one. I'm so sad. Not that I really wanted to meet Sasha Grey. I wanted to meet fucking H.G. Lewis, because who fucking does not want to meet the godfather of gore? But yeah, she did a really cool horror film with him.
No, she's a horror. Yeah, she's done some horror stuff.
She's what?
Cool.
She did a good movie with Elijah Wood too.
Oh yeah,
it was one of those Screen Life kind of on a computer screen thing.
Oh yeah.
It was good. I don't remember what it was called, but it was good.
God, I can't remember the director's name, or the creator's name, but he does Billions on Showtime.
Okay, yeah.
And the Girlfriend Experience with him, and I can't remember the
Steven Soderbergh.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a different one, but yeah.
Billions, but did you guys watch Billions?
No,
I haven't.
This show's fucking great with Paul Giamatti.
Yeah,
Paul Giamatti's a goddamn man.
He is.
He should do horror. Why is Paul Giamatti not in a horror film? What the fuck is up with this world?
Was he Lady in the Water? That terrible movie.
He was.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. All right, so yeah, every week we're going to post a Would You Rather and let our Patreons vote, and we'll discuss on the episode. So for this episode, the question was, if you were in a cage match, would you rather fight 100 chicken-sized zombies or fight one zombie-sized chicken? First, I want to ask you guys what your opinion on this would be.
One zombie-sized chicken, because chickens are not scary.
I think a 6-foot-tall chicken would be pretty terrifying.
Chicken. I'm pretty sure I fight those now, nightly at jiu-jitsu. I'm pretty sure I could choke it unconscious.
I mean, my parents had chickens for a while. Chickens are mean. They will peck the heck out of you. They have hard little beaks. So I think I could take on 100 tiny ones. I mean, you just kick them, right?
No, well, they're
No. These are 100 chicken-sized zombies. So
Okay.
little,
So,
like, so let's say
little
call them like a
tiny
foot
zombies.
tall.
I mean,
dude, the
thing is,
minute a zombie bites you, become a fucking zombie, right?
But the little sized zombies are already dead, so you give it a good swift kick, it's gonna explode. Just
well, one is there's 100, Jody. They're gonna surround you and bite your ankles, and you'll become a zombie.
yeah.
Well, if you tuck
Jody,
your pants into your
I
socks,
will
I mean, you
fucking
gotta
kill you.
These are tiny little mouths, though. Like if you just had like long pants and good boots, like you'd be okay. It's like going out for a hike. Like just be prepared.
I live in Vegas. I'm wearing shorts and flip flops. Like I want that.
Yeah,
Fucking
no,
Right.
the zombies would bite you.
Well,
Like,
give me that 6 foot cock.
and and don't forget you're in a cage, so space is limited.
Yeah.
Wait, how
That's
big
the
is the
thing.
cage?
I don't know.
It's like 8x8, 10x10.
We'll say the one in this
Oh,
episode.
Octagon. Yeah. No, I think I could take a bunch of little ones. I don't want to take a big mean chicken.
Oh no, the fact that
you don't want to take a big one. You just want to take the small ones. It's fine. I get it.
I think the fact that the chicken-sized zombies could bite you once and then you turn into a zombie is just too much.
Yeah, it's too much for me.
Them. I feel like I could probably evade one huge chicken easier. I mean, I think it'd be terrifying. I'd be more scared of it on the visceral level, but I think I could outrun or at least outmaneuver.
Dude, you probably eaten so many of his brethren. Like it's just gonna be terrified. But you are legend. Like, this guy's eating so many chickens. I'm just gonna say the fuck away from this guy.
All right. So the results of our poll is actually 50-50. Half people said 100 chicken-sized zombies. The other half said one zombie-sized chicken. So they're pretty split on this. There were some questions about whether you can use weapons. Someone said zombies will mess themselves up, but I won't mess with murder birds.
Same. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
So
I'm gonna fucking choke that chicken unconscious. Then, that wasn't even intentional.
oh my god.
And then I'm gonna fucking eat all of its parts. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna fucking put that shit on my Blackstone griddle out back. We're gonna have some fucking chicken for dinner after I choke that chicken unconscious.
There you go.
There you go. All right. So to be part of these polls on a weekly basis, join our Patreon at any level. $1 is all it takes. All right. Let's do some dad advice. I'm not sure where we go on this episode.
Let's go through some questions.
Oh, we got the questions. Thank you, Mando. We got questions for dad advice.
First, and I do have to talk about UFC a little bit. First, from our friend Palmer Lynch 719. How much BS is Mando going to call on the fighting in this? And the answer is a lot because but again, I said I will probably this is probably being filmed around the time of UFC 2 or 3, maybe even probably after UFC 1, which was in 93. UFC 4 had already happened. So people were still trying to figure out what fighting was. So like it's different nowadays. And again, it's choreographed, and choreographed fighting can always be fun, no matter how much you understand about the sports of fighting, et cetera, et cetera. But can I talk about UFC 3 real fast? Because it's happened right around the time of UFC 3. And the fun part about UFC 3 is Ken Shamrock. You guys know who Ken Shamrock is?
I know the name. I don't remember who that is.
God damn it. I'm sorry, a new podcast is cool people. But UFC 3 had a really interesting thing, whereas Hoist Gracie fought Kimo Leopoldo in the first round and beat him via arm lock, but got the shit kicked out of him because the guy was just headbutting him and fucking him up, and refused to come out for the semifinals. So Ken Shamrock beat Felix Mitchell in the semifinals, and then when he realized that Hoist Gracie wasn't going to be in the finals, refused to fight in the finals. He's like, I just came here to beat Hoist. So it was weird. Like the finals were two guys who like basically didn't fight. It was actually Harold Howard at the back beat someone, and the other one was Steve Henham or Jenham. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I say Henham because J is whatever in a lot of languages. And he beat Harold Howard and became the UFC champion by only fighting one fight. So after that, they implemented a lot of rules. about why you can't do that anymore. And now that actually after that event, they made it to where if you were an alternate, you had to have at least one fight to get to become an alternate. So you'd be a little bit tired in the main event. Nowadays, like tournaments really don't exist anymore in MMA because they realize like one fight is pretty fucking rough. Back then, when they're trying to figure this shit out, they're trying to figure this shit out. Is Jason still alive?
Yeah.
Oh, holy shit! You're like frozen. I thought you were just like we lost you. But it's kind of funny because Steve Henham won UFC and then proceeded to lose like every other match he fought. He fought 3 more matches. But one of the interesting things for anyone who's an MMA fan out there that might be listening to this is that George St. Pierre basically watched UFC 3, and George St. Pierre became one of possibly one of the greatest fighters of all time, and that's why he got into mixed martial arts is by watching UFC 3. And the other funny thing is the man Henham, he was interesting because he was a black belt instructor at Robert Bussey's Warrior International, which is called RBWI. Do you guys know what a bussy is?
No.
I am aware of what that term means. Yeah.
Okay, Jason, can you Urban Dictionary that right now? And then read us.
Do I need to put like my incognito on?
It depends. Like, I don't know. Do other people use your computer? Hold on a second. Do anybody under the age of like 45 use your computer beside you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Jason, can you read us the
No.
Jason,
Yes.
can you read us a definition of that term?
I can, but I'm not.
What, Jason, I'm gonna need you to read that. I'm gonna need you to read us the definition
No.
of what you just looked up. Jason,
It's a portmanteau of the words boy and a woman's genitalia used to describe the anus.
okay, it can be used as a noun or an adverb.
Sure.
It's a bitch pussy. Can we stop making up stupid words? Like, can we just stop? Like,
well, I mean, people can make up words. It's the people that use them that's the problem.
an anal opening
Sure.
on a male. Can we just stop making up stupid words? Like, that's all.
All right. Next question.
There is a wrestling tag team called Bussy, and it is Effie and Ali Catch. And they're actually a really good tag team, both great wrestlers. So it's just interesting because it's funny. And I'm sure some racist ass wrestling fans like, what the fuck? I don't know why they have a southern accent. They do. I'm sorry, people with southern accents. That's just where I'm going. Jody said sure because he knows 10 people at the grocery store that would not be okay with this term. And
Yeah.
like Kane, Glenn Jacobs, mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, would not be okay with that term. I see you, Kane.
All right, Mando, what's our next question?
I don't know. But by the way, when I go down there, Chattanooga, I'm definitely getting a picture in front of fucking Kane's office. That's all there is to it. He might as well be Kane West. MGP 12342 has a statement and a question. Statement is shout out to Aubrey Scott. God damn it. Aubrey Scott for being the lead character in Leprechaun 4.
Oh, yeah.
Respect that.
Mm-hmm.
The one question is, I responded to this was, do you remember when the UFC previews looked like these death matches? And yeah, 100%. Like early UFC, they were trying to pretend like you were going to watch someone die on screen. And you can take that for what it's worth. It was not a good look. The funny story about UFC is that they try to get sanctioned by athletic commissions.
Mm-hmm.
When they realize like we want to go legit with this, we're trying to have legit martial arts competitions. And I think it was the Fertitas that were on the panel that said no. So then that's what led to Art Davie selling the UFC to the Fertitas. Then said yes. So it's kind of a weird controversy about how it got sold and how Dana White got a hold of it and the Fertitas got a hold of it. So Dana White knew the Fertitas because they're all some Las Vegas trivia here. They all went to Bishop Gorman, which is like a $30,000 a year fucking high school down here, a private school down here. and he pretends like he was rags to riches. Nah, dude, that dude, no one who went to fucking Bishop Gorman was broke. And Dana White's a piece of shit. Let's just be honest. Dude got caught on camera slapping his wife. Do you guys know about this? So he's promoting a league called slap fighting, where you stand there and put your chin out and let someone give you a concussion. It's like a textbook way of how to get CTE and fuck your life up. And so he got caught in a video slapping the shit out of his wife at a club in Mexico. And he has the balls to come out and be like, they're not going to punish me. The real punishment is everybody know what I did. I'm like, that's not a fucking real punishment. Like, if you work at McDonald's and got caught on video doing that, you would get fired from your job. Like, fuck that guy. And like, not to take this place, not to go to down direction, but if you're caught in camera slapping your wife once, you've probably done it before, and you're probably a terrible fucking person. And no love for Dana White. Fuck that guy. He should be. They're not going to fire him. They're not, and it sucks. And it's just a reality of the matter. If you have money, you can just do whatever you want, and there's no repercussions.
On that note,
my dad's advice is just get a lot of money. Do whatever you want. It doesn't matter.
Just don't slap your wife. That's our advice.
Dude, you should.
Good advice.
You shouldn't put your hands on fucking anybody
Right.
that isn't asking for it and doesn't have a safe word. Like, you shouldn't just touch people who don't want to be touched. It's very simple philosophy, right?
Yeah.
Like,
All right.
when Jason hugged me and pulled my head into his bosom, I didn't say no. I was into it. Like, if I'd have said a safe word, though, I think he would have let me go. It'd have been great.
All right. Do you have any other questions?
It was a good hug.
It was a good hug. It was some good hugging.
Very good hug. Oh wait, make sure number question. That is the only questions. And by the way, for the 91 people that viewed our post and didn't ask a question, I am disappointed. I'm not mad. Sorry, we're not mad. We're all just, say it with me, we're all just disappointed. Okay. Yes, fuck that up.
I'm disappointed about that too.
But apparently, if you want to see us, maybe you'll see us at Chattanooga Film Festival. So,
All right. We'll tease more about that later. But
in denial.
That wraps up another episode. Next week we will be reviewing The Assassin.
I hope it's better than this week. Please tell me it's better than this week.
We'll see. I don't remember this one, so we'll see.
Somehow Freddy's Nightmares doesn't sound that bad anymore. This episode.
There you go. We appreciate everyone for listening. We'd really appreciate it if you would give us a rating review on iTunes, a rating on Spotify, and check out our Patreon for bonus content. Also, check out our YouTube for videos of these podcasts. And with that, we thank you for listening to Dads from the Crypt.
Follow Dads from the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.